Hi, everybody, and welcome again. I am sure that you all are doing good. So, talking about the important parts of the chapter neural control and coordination for class 11 CBSE board. In my last video, I had talked about the structure and function of the neuron. Now, let us look into the generation and conduction of the impulse. So sometimes it is also true that there will be no stimulus. So there will be no impulse, nothing has to be conducted. So this stage is called what? This stage is called the resting stage or polarized state. The ions will be there, the sodium ions and potassium ions, and the ion channels on the surface of the axon, of the axonal membrane, they are semi-permeable or selectively permeable. They are not permeable to all the ions. So in the resting stage, these channels are permeable to potassium ions. So there will be more potassium ions in the inner side, and there will be more sodium ions in the outer side. So sodium ions will be in the higher concentration in the outer surface, and the potassium ions will be in higher concentration in the inner surface. In which stage? In the resting stage, which is also called the polarized state, because the nerve fiber is polarized. So in the inner side, more of potassium ions are there. Both the ions are positively charged, but in the inner side, there are some negatively charged proteins also. So what is happening? The sodium and potassium pumps are regulating this difference in concentration of the sodium and potassium ions, and this difference in concentration is called the concentration gradient. Okay, this difference in concentration is called the concentration gradient, and this is regularly maintained by the sodium and potassium pump. As I said, they are transporting say three sodium ions outside and letting in two potassium ions inside. So this is the concentration gradient. Okay, and as you consult the NCRT book, there all the important facts have been given here in this page, and these things have been mentioned there. So as a result, the outer surface of the axonal membrane possesses a positive charge, and while its inner surface is having a negative charge. So the extracellular fluid on the outer surface will have more of sodium ions, and in the inner side it will have more of potassium ions and negatively charged proteins. Okay, both the sodium and potassium ions are positively charged, but the inner side is having a negative charge. How? Because of the negatively charged proteins. Okay, and this difference in concentration is the concentration gradient, and this potential is called the resting potential. There has to be a potential difference in potential on the entire axon, as has been written here also. The electrical potential difference across the resting plasma membrane is called as the resting potential, because now the fiber is in the resting stage. Similarly, if there is some stimulus, maybe because of temperature, heat or pressure or any other changes in the environment, there will be a response. So that there will be a impulse, generation of impulse. So how it will take place? Whenever there's a stimulus, being applied on a particular point. So what will happen at this juncture, at this point, the ion channels become more permeable. They have a special affinity. They start having a special affinity to the sodium ions, which start entering into the inner side of the fiber. So there is a influx of the positive sodium ions from outside towards into the inner side. There will be an influx of sodium ions. Then what will happen? The sodium ions will enter inside the fiber and depolarization will take place. That means the negative ions inside, the negative charges inside will again become positive because the sodium ions have entered inside. So, first of all, it was polarized state, then it became depolarized. Now, this depolarized state will be conducted to the neighboring spot, and from the neighboring spot to the another neighboring spot, and from one neuron to another, and so on. So, this is the way which is how the impulse is flowing. That is, first it is the polarized state, then it became depolarized, then again it became repolarized. How repolarized? Because in the meantime, what will happen? The sodium pump will again pump the the sodium ions outside. So the sodium ions which had entered inside will again be pumped out. So repolarization is again happening. So three stages are there mainly. One is polarized state, then it becomes depolarized, and then it is again followed by repolarization. So polarization, then depolarization, followed by repolarization. This is how the impulse is moving forward. Right? This is the wave. So this you have understood. Now this depolarization wave which is moving ahead is actually the nerve impulse, or it is also known as action potential. This is the action potential. So if you read these lines very thoroughly and attentively, which are there in the NCERT book, you will understand the things very clearly. At sites immediately ahead, the axon membrane has a positive charge on the outer surface and a negative charge on its inner surface. As a result, a current flows on the inner surface from site A to site B, as has been shown here. On the outer surface, current flows from B to A. So this movement will go on, will continue like this. As I said, polarization, polarized, then depolarized, then again followed by repolarization. So this forward and then again backward, this to and fro will continue, and from A to B, from B to A, this will continue. So this is how the wave is proceeding forward, right? At every spot. So this you have to understand. Thus the impulse action potential generated at site A arrives at site B. The sequence is repeated along the length of the axon, and consequently the impulse is conducted. Right? The impulse is conducted now completely. So it will also result into quickly rise in permeability to K ions, that is potassium ions, because this influx of sodium ion is very short-lived. Immediately it will be pumped out, as I was discussing, and again the influx of potassium ions will be there in the inner surface. So this process continues and the wave is conducted. The impulse is conducted through the axon from one neuron to another neuron, and the coordination is maintained. So, students, I think I have discussed this in little detail. I think this will help you in your understanding, and with that, I am ending here, and I will again come back with some other important aspects of this chapter. Till then, goodbye and thank you very much. God bless you all.